So this one is BMW G310 R. Okay, I was having difficulty in cooling. The fan just doesn't work. Okay, so when the temperature reaches 104, the fan is supposed to kick on. Okay, it does not happen. While then when you're stuck in traffic, it just keeps heating. But when you take off and then when you drive, because the air is flowing through the radiator, the fan is not needed there, right? So it cools down. So the water cooling is working fine. It's just that the fan does not kickstart. Okay. Then I checked the fan. I took it out completely. So you'll have to open the radiator, and because the place this is in is very tight, so I ended up getting the radiator out completely. And I just gave plus and minus here. So you just have 12-volt battery. Just use that, and then this is plus. That's minus. So just power it. So what happens is the same behavior that was happening on the vehicle, right? It just starts for like 3-4 seconds, runs at a very low speed, and then stops. And then when even if I give supply here, remove it and again give it, it does not work. So I believe there was something wrong with this. So I did open it. I'll just give you a tip. How do you open this guy? So this is it would be like that, right? Now, when you will remove these 3 screws, this entire thing will drop, like the entire fan that you have, it will just drop down, right? So this will just drop down. So if you see there's a cup here, which we can call it mounting or housing or whatever that is, and this rotates. So that's fine. So that's why this is fixed here, so that this doesn't rotate and the fan rotates, right? And then there's this cap here. So always when you have this, there is a gap between these two that you have to pry off, right? That you have to like pry and open this guy. This is tight because there's a silicone ring apparently here just to make it little waterproof. Yeah. So you'll have to pry a little bit harder. Do not like put scratches on these surfaces because they join and whatever. But just take and slowly pry it from all 3 sides. Only then this will come up. If you try to pry it from one side, it's going to break off, right? Don't do that. Just don't force it out. It will break and then you will have to buy a new one. So this is how it looks. These are the carbon brushes that they call inside this. So this is one. That's the other one. Okay. There is a rubber seal in between these 2 guys, which just sits like that. Okay. There are 2 screws here as well. If you want to open them, but just don't, because there's no need, because this wire that comes out is completely sealed here. Okay, and you do not want to break this seal, otherwise the water will enter and your motor is ruined, of course. So do not break this one. You don't need to, right? The wire just comes here. There is a inductor that's right here. There is an inductor right here. There are a couple of looks like capacitors. I don't know if they are ceramic or tantalum or what capacitors these are, but these are capacitors here. So I don't know how the circuit just goes from here to here and then to here, or I don't know what these are. So this is how it looks like. Now what I'm gonna do is, these brushes look pretty worn out. The major problem is in the armature. If you look at the armature, it is completely screwed. If you see, it's completely scratched. So I don't know even if I'm gonna be able to repair this one. So if you see, it's completely like flat. There's nothing left of the armature anymore. So I don't think I can repair this, but I'll still try. But the best way for me for long run is to replace this guy. That's the only way I can sustain. But maybe for a while, maybe a year, 1 month, 2 months, I can go with this guy. So I'm going to try and clean this off, and I'm going to see what I can do about this. What I'm doing to clean this guy is just using contact cleaner. I mean, this is bad because my experience with these guys, it gets so cold that the moisture condenses on the surface. Okay, so I don't like to use these much on like tight places where there is no airflow, and then if the water is just gonna be stuck there, right? So don't use these guys. Never use Zorix or something like in these. I don't know, I just don't like doing that because they attract dust. It's like sticky, so they will attract more dust and then choke this up, right? So I'm just gonna lightly do this while holding it upside down so that everything comes out. And you will see this gets extremely cold. So what's going to end up happening is the moisture in the air is going to condense on this guy. Okay, so you make sure you dry this off completely. Use a hot air, like don't use hot air, maybe hair dryer or something which will not burn these coils and the plastic, but it just enough to just get the moisture off, right? I would like to do that because I think the other sprays, I mean, any spray you use, it just gets cold and it's gonna end up having moisture, right? So this is how I'm gonna clean these. I'm going to use isopropyl alcohol later on because this place is very hard to get, right? You can't actually remove this guy because it's molded. You see that shaft? It's completely molded. So I'm not gonna pry it out, or because I do see some gum there and it's put there, but not gonna touch that right now. I don't need to, right? I'm assuming there's a bearing at this end also, but I'm not going to touch that. Now, what's also gonna end up happening is if you spray this on the bearing directly, it may just force the lubricant to come out, right? So you just don't spray it here. All right, just don't spray on the bearing because you're not going to be able to lubricate this later on, and especially the one that's on the other side. So I'm just going to lightly clean this up so that this just rotates freely is what I say, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to rotate it and then leave it right there. Okay, I'm not going to mess with the bearing. I'm not going to mess with anything else. All right, so that's that. Now to clean these guys is a little challenging. So if you see in here, this is completely screwed up, this one. Okay, I can't even see what's going on there. I mean, I can't even see the copper surface anymore of that armature, right? So if you look from this angle, this is the armature that is there. This is where the carbon brushes touch. I can't see the copper anymore. So maybe I'll try 1,000 grit or a 2,000 grit sandpaper on that and see how it goes, right? Because yeah, that's the best I can do with this right now. But like I said, this is not going to be reliable. It will work for a while, then jam or whatever, I have to change this. Because if I take bike on a highway and this happens, I am screwed, right? So yeah, that's that. So what I found is this bearing that we have here is just making a weird noise, right? Like that. So what I found is there is a small lock here. If you notice this guy, I just use a prying tool, a very sharp one to get this out. So this is the lock that holds this cap, okay? So if you pry this open, see this is coming out. That's the lock that I have on this bearing. Okay, now once you get that lock out, you'll have to very, very carefully pry this cap so not to damage or bend it. And then you can fill in the grease here. See, it just rotates freely now. The cap's ready to come out. So I'll try to get this out, but and then you can fill some grease here just to extend life or something like that, right? So I'm going to do that anyways. Now that this is open, why not? So I'll use two tools. Just press it here so that it bends from somewhere there. Yeah, slowly pry it out maybe. Just being very careful not to bend it. Yeah, there we go. Got it out. You see there is grease in here. Yeah, there is grease. And this bearing is worn, I believe. But yeah, it doesn't hurt to just put some new in here. So I'm going to do that. Just get the old out, put the new one. Simple. Okay. I'll keep it steady. So you see now how the water is here. There is all humidity just condensed. This is what I was talking about. You see these droplets here? This is pure water. Because when you spray this, it just gets so cold that the water gets condensed. So whenever you use such cleaners and the surface is like very cold, you are going to get these water droplets here. So I will have to dry this completely, right? Because obviously it will corrode a lot of things inside. So before assembling, I'll have to completely dry this off and then assemble it.